The email address is lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. What is up to Kyle and Steve?
How's it?
Okay, let's get right to the emails. We have a couple. Moving to Burlington for the summer. How to be friendly with 4 female roommates. Interesting. You guys both have female roommates right now, right?
Yeah.
Call her that. Yep.
Definitely.
That's one term for it.
Be like, hey, it's not so much our marriage, but I think I want another roommate. Okay. Ryan, Steve, Kyle, longtime listener, love the pod. 24-year-old male. I was like, 24 meters? That's not true. 5'9", 160. Comp is Muggsy Bogues. You're huge, Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah.
I'm moving to Burlington, Vermont for the summer for a job in the
Congrats.
media. Wow. Probably could have left that out, but let's go. Summer housing situations are limited.
Right?
Yeah. I know.
Can you write me a letter of recommendation?
Yeah. Like, hey, did you guys hear Doug emailed that Russillo podcast? All right. He asked for a raise. And my best option was a place with 3 female roommates, 4 after one of their sisters moves in during June. My long-term girlfriend is being a real trooper about it and super supportive, though she's definitely made some, quote, jokes about how I better not be getting freaky with them. Parentheses, never would! Exclamation point. My question is, what are some good ways to be friendly and outgoing with my new lady roommates without seeming like a creep? I have absolutely no bad intentions here and don't feel like I need to make new friends, but I want to foster a comfortable living situation. How old is this guy? 24? This generation. Did you ever want to foster a comfortable living situation, Kyle?
Yes. When I moved out here, actually, my aunts, I think they're called estheticians, like not quite a doctor, but not quite a
non-doctor,
like
middle ground there.
Not quite someone you
the
meet
purgatory of doctors.
Tell you what's up. Yeah, but so she needed a roommate. So when I first moved out here, I moved in with this like 30-year-old woman who was like kind of on her way out, but her roommate left. Whatever. It was just like she's like, oh, I can fix this for you. My nephew's coming out here. You need a roommate. So boom, and I was on eggshells for a while, and then I kind of pulled the ripcord, and she, because she was leaving anyway. But it was, it's strange. It's definitely strange. Or like whatever standard of clean I think I have, or respectfulness. I basically been in my parents' house, been in dorms, and then right before that, I was in Potsdam with a 5-bedroom house with 1 bathroom with a bunch of 20 something. So my frame of reference for I think clean or respectful or whatever, I don't think it was up to par, but I kind of realized that after I was in there. I was like, oh, okay, I've got some learning to do here. So I don't envy this. I was pretty uncomfortable. But yes, I did want to foster a good relationship with a roommate.
Yeah, I think esthetician is probably closer to non-doctor than doctor.
I think they wear lab coats, but I guess so do the people at Keels. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't want to offend the entire industry here, so just hold off. We get it, but yeah, on the doctor scale. But I'd imagine an esthetician probably has a pretty clean house. That would be weird, right?
Or
she's great at her job. She's awesome on the latest moisturizer, but her place is a dump. She's a hoarder. Okay, back to the email. So, as we peruse through his predicament here, thinking of the occasional movie night or chilling out on the patio. That's just what I enjoy and would love to have the company of my roommates. I just don't want to seem too weird, especially because there's a significant age gap with 2 of them not yet being 21. Dude, you're 24, bro. This isn't Kareem running around at the end with his goggles.
You said that when you're younger, that is it's bigger. It's a little bit, especially if they're not 21. So like you're not going to be able to go out with them as much.
Yeah, because there's another email that deals specifically with this. He says, by the way, any good food recommendation or know a comfy bar to play Pokemon on my Game Boy in? I'll tell you what, if you share that,
you don't have to worry about sleeping with these girls.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Right.
Knew that was coming. Yeah, I mean, there's just, all you have to do is tell them you want to play Pokemon on your Game Boy, and you probably, I don't think you're going to have to worry about a lot of stuff. Well, look, his head is in the right place here. I think it's pretty challenging. I'm surprised your girlfriend's not giving you a little bit more shit because, the way our species seems to work is once you're in kind of a living situation and there's this comfort there and there's always somebody. So I'm actually like answering the email in a way that you probably didn't want it answered, but this is kind of the way like some stuff goes, because there's going to be like one that maybe likes you. You send in the email, saw your picture, attractive guy.
Nice.
But you could just do like a full blown intro in, be like, hey, I'm so fired up to live here. You're living in a great place. Obviously, Burlington's one of my favorite places in the world. And you could just say, I'm so excited. But like, you don't want to be like, just so you know, I'm totally off limits. Because then they're just going to be like, this guy's a loser.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't interested anyway, guy. Sorry.
Yeah. Right. Although, to reassure your girlfriend, you'd be like, I gave him a speech about how I was off limits day one. We had a house meeting about it. So don't worry. Everything's good.
Put a note on the fridge.
I honestly, I think overthinking this would be the only mistake you could make. I would underthink here. Okay. I would underthink.
Question? Like, what is it? He's just looking to like assimilate properly.
Yeah. How do I do this? I mean, it's kind of scary. What is it? Three women roommates plus a fourth coming down the pike.
Yeah.
What do I do? Like, should I, when they're taking vodka shots in the living room at 9:45 before they go out, should I join? Should I not? I understand there's a lot of things that you don't really know what to do. You don't know if it's different protocol. It might be the same protocol. I don't actually have the answer to that.
Overthinking it'd be a mistake.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even like that. You're already this kind of like, honestly thought it was to have maybe way more to do with the relationship and the reassurance. Like there's no way anyone I've ever dated would be like, hey, I'm going to go live with these college girls for, well, granted, that'd be super fucking weird now, but you get the point. Like when I was in the window of potentially doing this, even though I hated having a roommate, I haven't had a roommate in such a long time because I was just like, I don't want one. But that's not always certainly feasible at this age. I would just go with it, man. Just go with all of this and don't worry about it, because your attitude, your personality, like all of these are going to be the defining factors of how the summer goes. And if you are, to the word of your email here, absolutely not interested, totally in love with your girlfriend here, like they're probably going to want to have girls. They're probably going to invite you to the first time.
Yep.
Try not to get like weird older guy wasted the first night you ever go out with him. Right. And it sounds like you don't even want to do it. Right. Well,
24.
But to their point, like
they're
the post-college gap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe somebody's still taking classes or whatever. Ceruti?
I don't think this is like what I would do in this situation is I would just talk about your girlfriend around them, make it known, obviously, that like you're a good dude and that nothing's going to happen, but don't be like so forward with it where like it's constantly being thrown in their face. Like you want them to know that you're taken, but you don't want them to be like, hey, as we said before, I'm off limits. And then just be you, like be fun, have a good time, but like bring up your girlfriend a lot. And she's obviously probably going to come visit you. They could meet her. Hopefully they like her. Everybody gets along. Like it's going to be fun. Like you're going to be fine. When I met my wife, she and my cousin were living with a guy who they all worked at ESPN, and we're still friends to him to this day. He's a great dude. He was like the cool, like there was, I never really thought there was anything weird about it at the time. It wasn't weird. I mean, I think that's just kind of like how it is these days, but he was just like one of the roommates. Like he was around, they watched movies together. Like I would come over, we would talk about sports. Like it was totally fine. And I would just, you don't want to be forward or weird about like how uncomfortable you are in the situation. Just be yourself and talk about the things you like and don't do anything weird. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Make a t-shirt with her picture on it and wear it.
Yeah. I think maybe the happy medium between t-shirts and talking about your girlfriend all the time could be just take a FaceTime in the living room every once in a while. You know what I mean? Just be like, oh yeah, this is Beth and Stacy or whatever. Hi, this is my girlfriend. Here's the place. Here's the new place. Looks good. Nice
I don't know.
room.
What if there's smoke shows?
Yeah. Well, I guess you have to decide that. I mean, you don't have to do it as you walk in, but I'm saying you don't even have to. But like, if you're just there talking to her, it's different than you bringing her up all the time, which could be, construed as weird or like people. Like if you don't do that in the right way, they could just read it on you. You know what I mean?
This is
like,
easy.
What is he doing? But the other thing I would say is just what kind of drinker are you? I mean, you're 24. That's like prime for me. I don't know if you're like the post-grad. I'm just going to be in the library a lot. I've got a couple shows I'm interested in catching up on.
The Game Boy thing tells me he's not 24-year-old Kyle.
Yes, I know that. But
or
I do
24-year-old
wonder, like,
me.
Yeah, but all it takes is, it's 2:00 in the morning. You guys all get back into the, back into the living room. Two of them go to their rooms, and you're like, should we open up this whatever? And then now it's 2 a.m. and you're drunk with your roommate who might be looking a lot better than she usually does to you. So that's all. It's like, what? I wish I could ask, what kind of like drinker are you? Are you going in here being like,
the Game Boy tells me
he doesn't seem tempted though. Like he I don't know.
There yet. I mean,
you're right. There's also a good chance. I would imagine your girlfriend's probably going to be there when you move in. She's probably going to meet all these girls, right? I would just guess that she's certainly going to visit.
You ask your girlfriend to move your furniture.
I don't. She just tags along. She's.
I had a girlfriend that did that. She was like, "I'm going to move with you, but help me move in and everything." I was like, "Why would you want to put yourself through that?" She's like, "Because I like am in love with you and want to see your new house." It's like, oh,
you're like, that's weird.
Like, that's fucking what an inconvenience.
I think we need to have a talk.
Yeah. This guy, look, everything will happen based on you're actually in control of the situation. You can decide however it goes here.
You're the only guy that's going to make this weird. I feel like your girl's cool with it. If you're cool with your roommate, that's going to be fine. You're the guy that's going to screw this up. So I guess that's why he's nervous, but I don't know.
My buddy did it for grad school. He lived in Boulder with 2 undergrads and he was in grad school and I think he was 30. And he was awesome. Like he also has the perfect personality for this. And he was like their big brother, but they had parties and he'd hang at the party. And if there's something going on, he would go. And because he wasn't an undergrad there, nobody quite really knew how old he was. And we were like, "Are you in the mix all the time?" And he was like, "Absolutely not. But sometimes I am." And so he made the most of it. And he was like a legend because we're like, "Wait, what is he doing?" You'd be like, "You didn't hear what he's doing right now? Like, come on. Is he really doing that?" You'd be like, "Yeah, it's all he could afford." And the girls were like full on his best friends there for like a couple years. So it could be an awesome experience. Yeah.
It could be done.
Right. Okay. Good transition here. By the way, Kyle, credit for me not saying anything about the cousin. New rule on the pod.
Yep. New rule.
Matt even brought it up, but good for you.
I was waiting. I was trying to actually get in there right when he stopped talking to save it. But I mean, it sounds like you already had his game plan. So good job by you.
No, I'm hesitant to even do that because it's just a new rule. Like we're just not going to do it anymore. So that'll be the last time. Yep. Shout out to me. Okay. How long can I stay in my college town? No relevant gym stats. My pickup game has been compared to Patrick Beverly and Marcus Smart. Must be fun to play against. I've been known to take an overly aggressive approach to defense. I've never gotten into a fight at a pickup game, but oftentimes dudes will say, "What's your deal?" Or tell my friends to get me to cut it out. Yeah. I really don't like you. Anyway, awesome. I'll cut to the chase. I'm 22 years old, just graduated college this month, and I'm starting to get a little worried about my post-college social life. Many of my friends in my class are moving elsewhere after the summer. My longtime girlfriend is studying in Europe for part of the fall.
Bunch of dude roommates.
Yeah, right. Entirely different answer to that email. I have a pretty decent job. I have a pretty wait. Okay, this is beyond pretty decent. He has a job, which we're not going to say what it is, but it is at 22 years old to have a job at this place.
You would take that
in the place that you went to college. If this is what you want to do, this is an incredible starting point at 22. 15 minutes from the campus of my school. In all likelihood, I'll be living either in the same place I lived during college or real close to it. My question is, how much time can I spend hanging out with the people from my old school before I start to look like a loser? I remember in high school, guys who graduated coming back for football games or whatever, and always looked to me like they had nothing better to do. I could for sure find some more friends outside of the school, but given that I transferred to the school and graduated from many of my friends are going to be seniors this year. Oh, because he transferred. So he's friends with some younger dudes. I've already talked to one of them who wants me to be going out with him or going to parties and the like, but I don't know if I'm going to come off as a loser with nothing better to do. Should I set ground rules for myself, like not showing up to dorm parties and only meeting people out at bars?
That's a good one.
How many fucking dorm parties were you going to your senior year, by the way?
Yeah.
Although, look, every school is different. Yeah, but to be fair, not every school is the same where that would be socially acceptable. Maybe some smaller schools where it would still be going on based on what the housing situation is at the schools. But yeah, maybe a timeout on the dorm thing. Let's see here. Should I set ground rules for myself? Also, if this job goes well, I'll foreseeably be staying in the same location for a long time. At what point do you become too old to be going to all the bars that you went to in college? Maybe I'm overthinking this and I should just see where everything takes me, but I'm weary of becoming the 30-year-old guy who's hanging around his college town for no good reason. Thanks for all the content. Okay. Well, this, I mean, right up my alley, which we've covered before. We have covered this before, but audience grows, and I don't think we've done this. Ceruti's on a repeater watch here. Okay, so I stayed for like the 5th and 6th year, and then went home because I thought, hey, now I have to go home. It's over. And then went home and despised it because I was in Martha's Vineyard in the winter, and was like, well, I'm a loser here. I might as well just go back to Vermont and be a loser there, because that was at least way more fun. And then got 2 more years out of it. 5th year guy, it was significantly different immediately. Okay. Even though I was still going to the same bars because I managed one of them. And then roommate wise, I was living with a guy who was on his 6th year. So we had gone through like school together, fraternity together. He was on the lacrosse team. Like, it was basically having my buddy around. And even though we were both working at bars, there would be moments where we'd be like, all right, screw it. Like, we're going to go with these guys or whatever. And then I remember our house they voted to pay for me and the 6th year guy to go to our formals together because we weren't going to go. And I still think it's one of the most incredible acts of a young guy doing something super nice and generous, where I just felt like at 22, most people would be incapable of even thinking of something like that. Hey, let's make sure we invite Russillo and the other old guy that's still around, which, looking back, we just went and brought dates, had a blast, tore it up. I'm like, cool. So
Dates were younger or older? Or your age?
What's that?
Were the dates younger or were they your age?
How could they be older? I mean, where do you?
Yeah, how could they be older?
Well, you never know. Who knows?
Some other 2 loser girls around? No, I'm kidding.
Hey,
I'm
take
kidding.
it easy.
You got me all riled up. I thought it was okay. Sorry.
I would say, I would say there's a pretty good chance they weren't going to be older. But I definitely thought about it. I thought about okay, you're still here. Like, what are you going to do? And the town I was in was so small. It's a lot smaller than the town that this guy's talking about. So what are they going to just have all these ground rules? I can't go here, or I can't go there. I can't do that. It just wasn't realistic. There may have been, there's no real attachment to the dorm. There definitely was a different thing where I wasn't just recycling whoever graduated with the next group of friends to be friends with those guys. I became friends with people that are actually all 5 years older than me. That became my social circle because it was just all the guys that were involved in the bar somehow. So whoever was an older bartender that was still around, those then became my friends, or the hockey players that would come back during the summer. And that was it. So there was definitely some kind of line, but I'll never forget. I think I've told this story one other time, is that when I was a senior, there was another guy that was a 5th year who was all about all the college life, went to the games, did all the stuff, had parties, went to parties. And the second September rolled around, he turned 40 years old. I was like, hey, why don't you come by the house? Or why don't you come over, our apartment here, come down here. He was one of our friends. We loved the guy. And he was like, nope, time to move on. Got to put that in your rear view.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. He was determined that as soon as September started up, he would not be seen at any of the bars. He wouldn't go to anybody. And the thing is, he was fucking 22 years old. Okay. So our emailer here is really, really young. And I think your head is just in the right space. There's nothing about this. There's a great awareness from the emailer here. But I would say because of that awareness, I wouldn't have as much concern. And considering you're living in the same neighborhood, don't apologize for having a job that's already in this spot. And you're still going to run into people. And if these are people that are your friends and it's going to be a good time, I understand what you're saying. You don't want to come off as that guy, but you live there. There were some people that called me a loser. And trust me, nobody thought I was a bigger loser than me towards year 8, where I was like, it's fucking time to go, but I didn't have any prospect. No one was getting on my case even close to as bad as I was getting on my own case. So I knew that it was time. But then I knew when I looked back and whatever hangups I had about still kind of being around, I was like, dude, who gives a shit? I'll tell anyone that's young that's thinking about this, I promise you're going to be old. Okay. So don't force yourself to be older than you actually are. I think the parameters that you're even thinking about are a great sign in that, all right, there's some stuff that I don't want to become and I don't want to be doing regularly. But if three of your friends who are seniors are like, hey, we're all hitting up this place, I don't think you have to like silent protest to deprive yourself of something you'd actually want to do by saying, sorry, dude, I'm 22 now. I'm 23 now. I can't go there, even though you really want to. Because if there's another lesson that we all need to learn, is that most people don't really care about you as much as you think they care about you. And sure, maybe there'll be a girl that'll be like, you're still here, dude. You know, like one of those. And you're just like, who gives a shit? Like I used to get that all the time. Although I got the fuck out of there before the 5th-year reunion because I was like, you cannot be here pouring Bud Light drafts at your 5th-year reunion. You can't be. So
I think it's not the same as hanging out with high schoolers a year or two after you graduate, but it's not completely different either. It's not like a completely different genre of music, those two things, but they're definitely not the same. I think you're not here because you're clinging on to something and you've got no prospects. You're here because you've got this job and you could have easily been sent to another city in another state and starting all over. You actually have a blessing. You can kind of blend this world. And, you know, while you're figuring out who at your new job is somebody that you actually would be hanging out with on a Friday night or making plans for or something, you still have this other connection. You're not this lonely guy who's talking about joining some sort of, club outside of your comfort zone just to have somebody to hang out with while you're in the new city. You got the best of both worlds. So I think, it's good that you're drawing the line at dorm parties, but I think you've got, whenever you're feeling like, fuck, this is hard, this adulting thing, I don't know who to be where I'm with my job. You still have, Mike and your buddies at the house that you can swing by. And you've got something else to do. Like you're not working a dead end job or hanging out all day waiting for, the boys to send you that text that they're going to wing night or something. You've got enough shit going on. You should actually be happy that you can kind of tap into this world while you got your eyes focused straight ahead. I think you're one of the luckier dudes in that town, probably.
Yeah,
wow.
I think
luckiest guy in town.
Yeah. Well, so I think you bring up a good point, Kyle. People are going to talk, but usually when they're like, hey, what the hell is that guy still doing here? As you said, Ryan, like it's because they don't have anything going on. Like they're just there because they're just bored. They don't have anything. You have a thing. So
yeah, this guy's way ahead of us.
He's managing the credit union, asshole. What are you doing?
Not everybody's going to know that, but you know that. So that should make you
Navy
feel
Federal
better.
Credit Union?
That's Valley, baby.
So you should feel better about that just on your own. Not everyone's going to know that, but you should feel better about that on your own. The other thing I thought of was, where I went to school at Quinnipiac, like there were like the younger bars and there were the older bars. Like maybe don't go to the 18 plus situation. Don't go to Toad's place maybe because that's like it tends to skew a little younger. A lot of fake IDs. Go to the place where it's 21 plus or like there just is an older vibe. So that's kind of what I would do. And then just an observation. I do feel like the high school guy, like 1 or 2 years after high school, hanging out at football games, like around the track, that guy's definitely weirder than college guy 1 or 2 years later, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So you've got like a 2 or 3. I would say I don't know. 1 year is definitely fine. 2 years is probably cool after college if you're still in town. 3, I feel like you're pushing it a little bit. But again, you've got a job. You're doing something, so you should feel fine about that. And if other people want to complain, then it is what it is. But you have friends, as you said, who are still in school. I don't think this is a big deal. I think just kind of do your thing. Don't go to the younger bars and just hang out with the friends that you want to hang out with.
Yeah, I don't. I think, and the other thing too is he mentioned him being a transfer, and he's friends with guys that are actual real seniors right now. There's probably going to be a bunch of people in the social circle that don't even realize that you haven't graduated yet.
Totally. Yeah, there's a lot of mixing.
So,
yep.
Yeah, you're just going to be around. So I cannot emphasize this enough. Don't get in your own head about this. Be thrilled. You're actually still really young. If you emailed this in and be like, hey, it's 6 years after I've graduated, I'm still in town and there's some lingerers. Like, look, if you were still around that long, and for me at my point, year 8, none of the original people were still around. I was the only one that was still there, but then I'd become friends with this whole other core group where it was like a transition. I was in like the core friend portal where I went from one group to like a completely different group because the original group was all gone. And I'm still great friends with a ton of people from that second time around. But I just knew, like, thank God. I was like, you can't actually do this. You can't be comfortable enough to be like, okay, this is just what I'm going to do. So I would look at it this way: be the hybrid club. You have the hybrid club of life right now. Okay,
Yeah.
so somebody sees it in your bag and they're like, "Hey, can you hit it?" And you're like, "Man, maybe," but it's there. But it's there. I have it. It's an option. You
Yeah.
know, it's those options are there for you socially, which you should look at as a huge plus. Not overthink it. You just based on this email alone, I'm not even remotely worried about this guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Because he's already like, what's cool or what isn't cool. And what's cool and isn't cool is going to change depending on who the other person is. But ultimately, like, who gives a fuck? Like, if these are your friends and they have something good going on Friday, then maybe you're in. And then the next time you're out because you have different responsibilities. And maybe you don't want to be going. And the other thing you're going to learn too is like, depending on how much you went out, if you start trying to like go out at the same pace, but with the irregular planning as opposed to just the Wednesday through Saturday grind that most people are signing up for during those college years.
I love that you call it a grind.
Yeah. By the time Saturday rolled around, like, do we even want to go out? And be like, well, we
Right.
have to. It's Saturday. Like, oh,
These
sorry.
dudes are going to yell at me if I try to stay home. Yeah.
Sorry for asking. I don't think there's anything else to add to this. This is good. This is, I think both emailers actually, their perspective makes me think they didn't really need that much advice.
A couple good self-awareness emails. I like that.
Yeah. And
really good.
A switch is going to flip one day when actually drinking with college kids is going to seem like not a good time at all. So I don't know how much time is left in that light bulb that you got there, but that filament's going to burn out one day. So
You'll know.
So it's fine. You'll know the time.
And these are already his friends. Like,
Yes.
that's a really important part of this. They're already, you know how much weirder it would be? Like, sorry. It's like the guy that I talked about. We're like, you're not going to come over to our house. We've known you this will be the 4th year we've known you. We've hung out all of the time. It's not some party. It's not some like 18 and over thing at the 50 Cent draft night that we don't even want to go. Like, we don't want to do some of those things. We're having a party with everyone that you'll know, all 50 to 100 people that are going to be there. You're going to know every one of them. You're only a year older than us. Come over. No.
And you
It's
don't
time
have
to
to
turn the
act like
page.
you don't have to like get hammered and act like you're casual, your usual college. You just come over and hang out, dude. It's not that hard.
We were like, so we're not going to see you all year. He's like, that stage of my life is over. He was that serious about it. Like, and I remember being slightly impressed, being like, man, that guy's really got his shit together. As I've got older, I'm like, what a stupid waste of like an opportunity to just spend another year with your buddies. Like, he had an apartment 10 minutes away from us and we'd go come hang out. And I know somebody's listening to this being like, hey, you ever thought maybe the guy didn't like you? That wasn't it. That wasn't it. You have to trust me because I knew him, and the people probably offering up feedback, I'm going to guess none of you know him because I even mentioned the name. He refused to take part in any of it. Cool, man.
I had a buddy who did something similar, but it was dressing. Like one day it was like the snap of a finger. He just started dressing totally differently. He was wearing a ton of, button ups and quarter zips, and was like it was, I think we had just, either it was our senior year or we had just graduated.
Was that for the Manning cast?
Back then that was a big deal, man. Listen, but he was just like, hey, I'm an adult now. Like, I gotta start dressing like an adult. Like, and it was overnight. And I'm like, should I be impressed by this or should I be embarrassed for you? Like, what's going on here? And he's still a core guy, but it was something unlike I've never seen before.
Did he stay in the quarter zip chino phase? Was it a permanent thing?
Yeah.
How do you go out of that?
He's just formal Carl now, or whatever. He
started working in some hats too, like the fedora started being a thing. Like a lot of, it was like a lot of J. Crew fedora catalog stuff, and I think he just wanted to change his perception. Because you in college you just wear hoodies and you wear sweatpants and you wear cargo shorts back in the day, and he didn't want to be that anymore.
Hey, I've seen it. There was a guy at work at ESPN just decided he was kind of like the young, goofy guy, really nice guy, really liked him. And then one day he just showed up and it was on laces and button downs. And it was like, okay, you
dress for the job you want.
Be the person you want them to see you as. And the problem is just a lot of times it just can backfire. Like, are you serious? This is what you're going to do?
You're going to wear a blazer? Like, cool.
I went through 2 weeks.
You still suck at your job.
Guys in screening in a fucking 3-piece. Like,
I went
dude,
through like 2 weeks in
all those
college where I was
Padres
like
highlights.
doing
Go ahead.
college parties with like dressed up because I was like, God, I look so fucking good. I think maybe it was a court thing or I had to do something. And I went out after and I was like, this is awesome. And then I think like 2 weeks later, I went and I found some like button ups and maybe even like it wasn't like a matching suit or anything, but it was a pretty fucking sick like sports coat, I think. And I felt like I was cleaning up. I mean, looking back, it's like, wait, is that your buddy with the suit again? Is he coming? But my buddies at first were like, what are you doing? I was like, just trust me, it feels right. And I'm, throwing caution to the wind here. And I don't know, a lot of girls would be like, wow, you look so nice. What's going on? And I think I would sometimes come up with reasons that I was wearing the suit that weren't even true. But
Did you ever say court?
No, I don't think so. I think even then I knew.
No, it's a huge mix-up. It wasn't even his property.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But
no
I gotta
sign.
say, it did feel nice being like in the mix. Like, God, that guy's got something going on. Where's he
Together,
been?
Yeah.
Poughkeepsie Kyle in his suit. We learn more every day. All right, that'll do it for the show. Thanks to Oregon, thanks to Ceruti, and thanks to Kyle. Check out our YouTube page, Ryen Russillo Podcast, right here, Spotify.